of a protracted war between the Western powers and Hitler evaporated with the brilliant success of Hitler's blitzkrieg tactics, which saw Denmark, Norway, Holland, Belgium and France fall in rapid succession. The lightning campaign through the Balkans and Greece in 1941 could only produce more grounds for disquiet. Though Stalin accepted that war with Germany was now almost inevitable, he certainly did not expect to be attacked in 1941. He decided Russia had at least until the spring of 1942 to prepare herself. His explosive denials of all contrary information was so fierce that vital intelligence concerning German preparations was kept from him by subordinates fearful of the violence of his temper. As the German build-up towards Operation Barbarossa continued, Stalin's attempts to pacify Hitler grew more desperate. He had already stated in an interview with Pravda in November 1939 that it was not Germany who had attacked Britain and France, but Britain and France who had attacked Germany. Stalin now forbade any criticism of Germany to be printed in the newspapers. In 1940, he increased Russian supplies to Germany and withdrew recognition of the Norwegian and Belgian governments in exile. In the following year, when Hitler successfully invaded Greece and Yugoslavia, Stalin quickly expelled the Yugoslavian ambassador to Moscow and refused a request to recognize the Greek government in exile. Stalin felt he was continuing to buy time with these unrequited concessions, but his use of the breathing space which he had already obtained was totally devoid of any worthwhile attempt to remedy his military disadvantages. The main Russian force charged with defending Leningrad was the Northwest Front under Kuznetsov. In theory, the Russian forces were larger and more generously supplied with tanks, guns and aircraft. In practice, the Red Army as a whole proved to be so demoralized by internal disruptions that they were disastrously unprepared. In addition, much of the Russian equipment was obsolete or unserviceable, with the result that in the opening battles at least, there was to be no real contest. As a result of Stalin's purges, the Soviet forces were less than equal to the task of combating a highly professional, well-organized army which was accustomed to success on the battlefield. Many divisions were between 6,000 to 7,000 men short of wartime establishment. Levies of experienced personnel had been hived off to build new tank and aviation units. Only one of the 6 Soviet mechanized corps had received their full complement of equipment. 3 of the 4 motorized divisions had no tanks whatsoever, and 4 out of every 5 vehicles in the tank fleets were obsolete. 4 of the corps could only deploy 1/4 of their designated motor vehicles, and in another 4 corps, 1 in 3 motor vehicles needed repairs. From even a cursory analysis, the Soviet Red Army and the German Wehrmacht were anything but equal adversaries. In the western part of Russia, the Red Army consisted of about 5 million men, with 1 million in the Leningrad sector. Although the tank strength of the Red Army on the 21st of June 1941 was an impressive 23,108 machines, only 8,000 were battle-ready and in good condition. Of these, less than 1,200 were deployed in the Leningrad sector. Many of the Soviet tanks were the outdated T-26 and T-28 medium tanks. There were even a few of the outdated T-35 machines, a massive multi-turreted tank which proved to be a disastrous failure in action. In June 1941, the time of the German attack, Army Group North was commanded by Field Marshal Ritter von Lieb and was composed of two subsidiary armies, the 16th Army, initially commanded by Field Marshal Busch, and the 18th Army, commanded by General von Kuchler. For the initial thrust into Russia under the Barbarossa Directive, Army Group North enjoyed the support of a powerful tank force, designed as Panzer Group 4 under the leadership of General Höppner. For air support, Army Group North could call upon Luftflotte 1, commanded by General Keller. The Stukas of Luftflotte 1 were to provide the flying artillery for the lightning attack of the 22nd of June. Naval support was available from the powerful Battle Group North under the command of Admiral Karls, who set about planning the campaign with his senior commanders. As commander of Army Group North, von Lieb had excellent credibility. He had formerly commanded the German Army Group Centre, which had succeeded brilliantly in the attack on France in 1940. He was extremely well supported by some of the most capable commanders the German army had in its ranks. As the German officers could draw on the experiences of the war in Poland, France, Norway and the Balkans, the quality of their commanders was always likely to be superior to that of the Russians. For the great assault on Russia, Army Group North could count on over 800,000 men and 800 tanks, organised into 3 armoured divisions, 3 motorised infantry divisions, 20 infantry divisions, and 3 security divisions. Army Group North was by no means the armoured juggernaut of popular mythology. 4/5 of the soldiers had to walk into battle, like the soldiers of Napoleon over a century earlier. In 1941, the mechanised era was still in its infancy, and Army Group North needed 200,000 horses to draw their guns and equipment. The Army Group could deploy 1,200 guns. In terms of tanks and aircraft, Army Group North could boast 600 tanks and 430 aircraft, most of them superior to the Russian tanks, and all of them in better condition. Army Group North tends to be treated in some respects as the poor relation compared to Army Group South and Army Group Centre. But initially, although there were fewer formations of Army Group North, they actually achieved their initial objectives with great skill and speed. Ribbentrop, Hitler's foreign minister, had successfully concluded a non-aggression pact between Germany and Russia in 1940.